I have to do this. I have to talk about this. Most of the time, I don't actually talk about these kind of stuff, but this matter needs my attention. It grabbed my attention. I mean, who even watches these kind of reality TV shows? Everyone knows that they are complete garbage and absolute bullshit. Yet everyone is still glued to them. And I mean, it's honestly shocking that not just the adults, but even kids are wasting their time on this worthless trash. It's all imaginary. The fights, the drama, we all know it's fake. But what's happening lately that grabbed my attention? This has become a real life reality TV. I mean, it's always the same. These women get high and some kind of drama has to happen. Drug use is always at the root of it. I mean, today's case is exactly something like that. Things spiraled out of control because of the boozing, and a video or incident that I am about to talk about is the one that we should have never seen, but it somehow leaked out. A network cancelled an entire season of one of its longest running shows, not because they learned something new, but because you did. That distinction is going to matter a lot as we go through this video, because ABC, the network on which the show was premiering, didn't suddenly discover that its new Bachelorette star had a violent past. They'd know about it the entire time. They put it in another one of their own shows. They used it as a plot point, and they were completely fine moving forward until a video clip made it impossible for the rest of us to look away. What happened here isn't a story about one woman's downfall. It's a story about how institutions, how Hollywood operate, and how they weigh morality against money, and how the math only changes when the public forces it to. Taylor Frankie Paul is a 31-year-old TikTok influencer from Utah. She has 6.1 million followers on TikTok and 2.3 million on Instagram. If you have never heard of her, she became internet famous as a part of something called MomTok, a Mormon group that rose to fame first on TikTok and then through their wildly popular show, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. It was this very specific niche of attractive, wholesome, presenting Mormon moms doing trendy dances and sharing their lives, and it resonated with millions of people. Taylor stood out in that group, partly because she was willing to push boundaries and partly because she blew the whole thing up in 2022 when she publicly announced that she and her husband were getting divorced and dropped the bombshell that they had been in intimate relationships with other couples during their marriage. A sword-swinging scandal, essentially, within this tight-knit community of Mormon influencers. That revelation became national news and eventually became the foundation for a Hulu reality series called The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, which premiered in 2024 and became a genuine hit. The spotlight only grew when cast members Jen Affleck and Whitney Levitt completed in season 34 of Dancing with the Stars. Now here's where the things gets dark. In 2023, Taylor was charged with assault, criminal mischief, and domestic violence in the presence of a child after an incident involving her then partner Dakota Mortensen. She didn't just get arrested and have charges dropped. Court records indicate that she pleaded guilty in abeyance to an aggravated assault charge in August 2025, and other 4 charges were dismissed with prejudice. The details of what happened that night were in public court documents available to anyone who wanted to look at. And here's the part that makes the whole thing almost absurd. The arrest played out in the first episode of season 1 of Mormon Wives. The show used body cam footage from the aftermath of that incident. It was a storyline. Disney, which owns both Hulu and ABC, literally turned Taylor's domestic violence arrest into television content and turned around the cast as the lead of Bachelorette's 22nd season. The arrest wasn't a secret they failed to uncover. It was a selling point they actively marketed. The season was set to premiere on Sunday, March 22, and had been removed from the schedule. The whole thing had already been filmed. Filming for Taylor's season wrapped in December 2025 and reportedly did end with the star getting engaged. Spoilers had leaked online about how it ended, and the ending is its own kind of absurd. According to Reality Steve, Taylor Frankie Paul picked Doug Mason as the winner of the Bachelorette and got engaged to him at the final rose ceremony. But according to Reality Steve, Taylor and Doug are no longer together. He reports that the two broke up after a month after getting engaged. Steve also wrote that Taylor was never over Dakota, and that in January, roughly a month after she got engaged to Doug in Bachelorette, the pair met up in Salt Lake City, where Taylor ended things with Doug, which makes more sense when you learn about another detail. In The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives season 4 finale, viewers learned that Taylor spent the night with Dakota the day before she left to film The Bachelorette. Dakota engaged Taylor to save a rose for him, hinting they could get back together after The Bachelorette. She entered the the entire Bachelorette process while still deeply entangled with her ex, and the show's entire premise, its one justification for existing, is that someone is genuinely searching for a partner. She undermined that from day one, but none of that is what killed the season. What killed the season was the video. TMZ published a video from a 2023 fight between Paul and Mortensen, an incident that appeared to be the same one that led to Paul's arrest at the time. And what it showed is not a fight, despite how many headlines framed it. Calling this a fight video does real work to soften what actually happened. A fight implies two people going to each other. This video shows one person attacking another person who is trying to leave or who is trying to retreat. The footage appears to show Paul striking and kicking Mortensen, and at one point throwing a chair in his direction while a young child is nearby. Mortensen appears to be holding the camera. He managed to get free and starts walking away. She kicks him. She follows him. She goes into a room where her daughter is sitting on a couch watching TV. He's heading toward the exit, and Taylor picks up a heavy metal stool and hurls it at him. He yells that her daughter is right there. She picks up another stool and throws it again. One of those chairs hit the child in the head. You can hear the little girl start crying, and it gets worse from there because the camera gets put down and you're left with the audio, and the audio is devastating. Mortensen repeatedly tells Taylor to go check on her daughter. She doesn't. She keeps screaming at him. He tells her she's drunk and she needs to stop. After a while, he goes to check on the crying child himself, and Taylor starts screaming at him to get away from her daughter. Then the police arrive. And here's a detail from the video that captures something essential. After she throws the chair and one of them hits her own child, she screams at Mortensen, blaming him. She hits her own kid with a heavy metal stool and immediately tries to flip responsibility onto the person she was attacking. That one moment tells you pretty much everything about how Taylor has handled the entire situation for years, publicly and privately. Because she has been downplaying this incident for a long time. She built a brand around being known for honesty, but she never once told her fans that her daughter got hit with a chair that night by her. She minimized it. She danced around it. In an interview with Good Morning America on Wednesday, one day before the video dropped, Taylor addressed the incident saying, "It's been a heavy time to see the headlines, especially during this time of The Bachelorette being released, and it's supposed to be a really exciting time." She was on the Oscar red carpet on March 15, 2026, this year's Oscar, doing interviews, smiling for the cameras, and 5 days later, the show got cancelled on Thursday. That kind of velocity of collapse almost never happens in television history. And when the video did come out, her team's response was something else entirely. Paul issued a statement calling it the latest installment of his never-ending, desperate, attention-seeking, destructive campaign to harm Taylor, and describing the release of the video as which conveniently omits context on their son's birthday as a wrong attempt to distract from his own behavior. Taylor and Dakota's son, Ever, turned 2 years old on March 19, 2026. It's the very same day the video was published and the season was cancelled. Then came a second, different-toned statement after the cancellation was announced. A spokesperson for Paul said she is very grateful for ABC's support and she prioritized her family's safety and security. After years of silently suffering extensive mental and physical abuse as well as threats of the retaliation, Taylor is finally gaining the strength to face her accuser. The spokesperson added that Paul is currently exploring all of her options, seeking support and preparing to own and share her story. Owning your story sounds empowering until the story involves aggravated assault against someone who was trying to walk away from you. And Paul told NBC News in a phone interview after the video released that "I will have my truth." Meanwhile, the ex-boyfriend of the star has filed for a protective order against her. Mortensen said in a statement to People that as anyone who has seen the video will understand, this is a deeply upsetting situation and that he's focusing on his and his wife's son and his safety, and hope that Taylor will do the same. It's worth noting that how the video actually surfaced. A lot of people initially assumed Mortensen leaked it. The video was recorded by Dakota through his phone. Mortensen's representative told Entertainment Weekly he knew there was possibility it could come out sometime, but he was not going to be the one to proactively do that because he has always wanted a decent relationship with Taylor. TMZ published the footage, and from what's reported, it was obtained as a public record. A source connected to Bachelorette Bachelorette told TMZ that no one at the ABC had seen the video before TMZ posted it on Thursday morning. That claim is worth examining because even if they hadn't seen the specific footage, they knew exactly what happened in it. They made a television episode about it. Now here's the part of the story that most people are fixated on, and rightfully so. ABC knew, Disney knew, Hulu knew, they all knew the incident was public record, the conviction was public record. She pleaded guilty. The Mormon Wives star was cast as the next Bachelorette lead when the news of her 2023 arrest was already fully public. The incident was covered during the season 1 of Hulu series, and her casting drew backlash because of her past domestic violence arrest. And there's more. A spokesperson for the Draper City Police told media outlets that the department is investigating claims of domestic assault between Paul and Mortensen from a separate incident that allegedly occurred in February 2026. Authorities in Utah confirmed there is an active domestic violence investigation involving the former couple who share a 2-year-old son, Ever. The Draper City Police Department said officers made contact with both parties on February 24 and 25, and that allegations have been made in both directions. The West Jordan Police Department in Utah also confirmed to NBC News that it received a domestic violence allegation via phone call but declined to give details. A spokesperson for the department said detectives were working on establishing the facts on the case, and Taylor and Dakota have been ordered to undergo psych exams amid the fresh batch of spousal abuse claims. So you have a woman who pleaded guilty to violent assault, who has brand new domestic violence investigation open with a second police department also involved, who has been ordered to undergo psychological evac, and a major broadcast network said, yes, this is our girl, America's next Bachelorette. What is this? What is this complete bullshit? While the video itself has been a huge shock, it is to be said that there were concerns about casting Taylor from the beginning. Since her history of domestic violence is not new, it was addressed in season 1 of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. This was not a failure of due diligence. This was a conscious decision to proceed because the potential ratings were worth the risk. ABC has scrubbed the show and mentions of Taylor from their website, but only after the cancellation. Even sponsors were ahead of ABC on this. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐢𝐛𝐞 announced the decision to terminate its partnership with The Bachelorette and The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, stating that the recent developments and allegations surrounding the lead cast member led us to reassess this collaboration as it no longer aligns with our brand values. That statement came on Tuesday, before the video even dropped. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐢𝐛𝐞 pulled their promotional sponsorship before ABC made its call. And you know what? The cinnamon roll company had better moral reflexes than a major broadcast network. Disney's official statement said they had made the decision in the light of newly released videos that just surfaced. They specifically cited that the video, not the arrest, not the conviction, not the ongoing investigation, was the basis of the cancellation of the show. That video was the crucial cracking point to the cancellation, because that video changed the public views towards Taylor. And the line about supporting the family, when you remember that this company handed a national platform to someone convicted assaulting their own family. The comparison that keeps coming, and it's the right one, is Ray Rice. In 2014, the NFL knew that their star running back had knocked his then fiancée unconscious in an Atlantic City elevator. He was initially suspended for 2 games, but when TMZ released the actual elevator video, when the public could see it with their own eyes, everything changed overnight. The pattern here is identical, down to the last mechanics. The show was not cancelled because ABC saw the footage. The show was cancelled because we saw the footage. The financial consequences are staggering. ABC could be out of tens of millions of dollars if it can't find a new way to salvage The Bachelorette, including the license fees to Warner Bros., unscripted TV making millions of dollars, and other loss of revenue. Each episode cost about $2 million to produce, according to TMZ. While only the premiere episode has been finished, the network stands to lose a significant amount of money by not airing the season, in part because of trade-outs or product placements with airlines, hotels, and other companies that were supposed to be the part of the upcoming episodes. The studio, Warner Bros., will get paid regardless of whether the show airs or not, and one source is put, "We are a collateral damage, to be honest." And there's an open question about whether the season might still surface somewhere. Insiders predict that Paul's Bachelorette will still see the light of the day, perhaps just on Hulu, or maybe even in ABC's summer schedule. But first, they expect to see plenty of apologies from Paul. The season could still still end up airing internationally. Warner Brothers execs are reportedly taking a wait-and-see approach while staying in contact with ABC. Taylor herself will also likely face financial fallout. The sources told The Sun that she might not be paid or could even be fined because of the new domestic violence allegations, which could be a breach of her contract. The insider said that she might end up being financially responsible. The franchise's larger scope makes this even more damaging. This follows a bad 12 months for the Bachelor franchise after it parked The Bachelorette last season and fired the franchise's two top showrunners for their part in a toxic workspace. This was meant to be a successful return for the female-led version of the Stalwart series, this time featuring a famous face from another popular Disney franchise. The abrupt cancellation could also have ripple effects for the rest of the Bachelor franchises. Typically, a runner-up show from The Bachelorette goes on to the next Bachelor, but with Paul's season scrapped, producers will likely have to turn to someone from a previous season, which could affect interest in The Bachelor heading into its 30th season. The casting of Taylor was clearly a depression play. Paul was taped as the upcoming Bachelorette last September, a shock that fans hoped would revive a dying franchise. She was cast as the new star, marking a change for the franchise and stepping outside the tradition of casting former Bachelor contestants. A media expert suspected the network knew the decision would bring in viewers. In her view, it just proves the whole thing was done for the sake of a good story, suggesting Paul's celebrity status and background would appeal to fans. Another professor said that this is the attention economy, and if people already follow an influencer like Paul and pay attention to her, they will keep following her. Some executives seemingly looked at the numbers and said that the Mormon Wives show is massive. The Bachelor brand is dying. What if we combined them? And that was apparently the full extent of the planned thinking. Taylor's casting on The Bachelorette has met with a mixed response, with some feeling that it's mainly a way for Disney to cross-promote two of its most popular shows. The behavior visible on her other show in the lead-up to filming only reinforces how reckless the whole franchise was. Even in the current fourth season of The Secret Lives of the Mormon Wives, Paul and Mortensen continue their drama-filled on-again, off-again relationship. The season shows Paul in an increasingly manic state, so much so that she at one point refuses to get on a plane to film The Bachelorette. Paul sent her mother and her half-sister in her place and joined them only after her co-stars scolded her for staying home. Meanwhile, Taylor's violent relationship with Dakota led some, including her Mormon Wives co-stars, to question whether she was truly ready to be The Bachelorette and find someone new. And those co-stars have now distanced themselves entirely from Taylor. A source told People that the cast is distancing themselves from Paul amid the situation. They said that none of the women want to be associated with her. Mikala Matthews confirmed that the cast decided to take break from filming, explaining that the women collectively agreed on the decision because they felt uncomfortable filming given everything that had happened. A source close to the matter said that Hulu instructed a week-long break in filming after executives witnessed discussions of domestic violence during filming. When new information came to light that week, cast members told production members they would not continue filming unless Hulu took action on the situation. Taylor needs help, the source said, adding that the cast is hopeful that production can pause long enough so she can get the help and care she needs. The gender discrimination to this story is something a lot of people are grappling with online. When a woman is the abuser and a man is the victim, the language softens. Headlines called it as a fight video instead of a domestic violence video or an abuse video. People reflexively look for ways to explain or justify the woman's behavior, and sure enough, some people online were defending Taylor, accusing Mortensen of being a narcissist, saying he pushed her to act that way, framing her as the real victim. That is wild to read when you have just watched the footage of a man being physically attacked by someone while he begs to leave, and a child getting hit in the crossfire. The instinct to excuse female violence against men is deeply ingrained, and this situation is putting that bias on the full display. The fact that Taylor's own post-cancellation statement frames herself as the victim, claiming she had silently endured extensive mental and physical abuse from Mortensen, while the public has just watched the video of her as the clear aggressor in the violent attack, is a case study in how the language of the victimhood can be weaponized. It's worth taking allegations seriously in both directions, as the police investigation is doing, but the timing and framing of that statement, released minutes after the season she was promoting was cancelled, reads less like a survivor finding her voice and more like a PR team executing a contingency plan. The broader conversation happening around all of this is about who we choose to platform and why. The paradox of reality TV is the public often derides it as trash, so when something like this comes along, it's not totally unexpected or seen as a death sentence for a TV show. Reality television as a format has always depended on unstable, dramatic, and confrontational personalities because those personalities produce watchable moments. The entire economic model is built on rewarding dysfunction. The more chaotic you are, the more screen time you get. The more screen time you get, the more followers you gain. And the cycle feeds itself until someone gets arrested or someone gets hurt, or a video surfaces. In that case, that makes it impossible to pretend the chaos was ever harmless entertainment. In the new season of Mormon Wives, Paul attributes her complex link with Mortensen to issue born out of her father's abandonment of her at an early age. Whether that framing is accurate or fair is debatable, but the argument that she needs a professional help rather than a bigger platform isn't unreasonable. The problem is that the entertainment industry isn't set up to care about that distinction. They are set up to monetize the spiral. Paul is a mother of 3. She shares 2 children, an 8-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old son with her ex-husband Tate Paul, and a 2-year-old son Ever with Mortensen. One of those children got hit in the head with a metal chair thrown by her own mother. All of them are growing up in a situation where their mom has pleaded guilty to violent assault, has an active domestic violence investigation, and has had her most humiliating moments broadcast for national consumption. She said that when people express hope that the kids are okay and safe, it's not an empty sentiment. It's the only part of the situation that truly matters. The uncomfortable truth at the center of everything is this: nothing about Taylor Frankie Paul did was secret. Every piece of information that led to the cancellation of this season existed in the public long before all of it was there. ABC didn't need the video to know who they were dealing with. They needed the video to stop pretending. And the difference between these two things is the difference between accountability and performance. The timelines tell the whole story. On Sunday, March 16, news of a new domestic violence investigation breaks. ABC says nothing changes. On Monday and Tuesday, Taylor does the press rounds promoting the show. Cinnabon terminates its collaboration, saying it no longer aligns with our brand values. On Wednesday, ABC is still planning to air the premiere on Sunday, and on Thursday morning, TMZ publishes the video. Hours later, the season is dead. Everything down the drain. What ABC did on Thursday wasn't a moral choice. It was a business calculation. The same calculation the NFL made with Ray Rice. And maybe the most damning detail of all is the simplest one. The entire season was already filmed. Every rose ceremony, every dramatic moment, every careful conversation, all of it was sitting on hard drive somewhere, with at least one episode fully edited and several more in progress. They were preventing embarrassment, their own embarrassment, because the thought of airing a romantic dating show starring a woman the entire country just watched through a furniture at a man while her child screamed in the background was simply not survivable from a PR standpoint, only because a video made it impossible to keep them separate any longer. If that doesn't make you at least a little cynical about how these decisions get made, about how the line between acceptable and unacceptable isn't drawn by principle but by public pressure, then you haven't been paying close attention to these Hollywood and reality TV bulls. Because the next time a network or a show tells you they have standards, ask yourself one question: would they still have those standards if nobody was watching? That is a simple question. This is up for today's case. If you like the content, if you like the analysis, do subscribe to the channel. I will see you in next case. Until then, goodbye and good night.